guys. I've decided that this summer is going to be the summer of made-for-TV movies on this channel. Now, that doesn't mean I won't post videos on other topics or talk about other things during live streams and on my new Discord server. It just means that I'm going to be making a lot of videos about made-for-TV movies, mostly from the 1980s. It's going to be a whole series with its very own set of playlists. Silly me naively thought that I could just make one best of video and call it a day, but once I started doing the research, it quickly became clear that this situation called for a series all its own. There were hundreds of TV movies made during the Gen X childhood, starting in the 70s and hitting their peak in the 80s. There were even a few good ones in the 90s. So this summer, I will be going year by year and breaking it all down. I will also set aside some very specific genres for videos of their own, and that's what I'm going to do today. Hi, my name is Natalie. Welcome to my so-called Gen X life. And today we're going to talk about the 15 best TV reunion movies from the 1980s. So, what is a 1980s TV reunion movie, you ask? Well, this is when the casts of television shows from the 50s, 60s, and 70s reunited years later for a special made-for-TV movie. In 1977, the year I was born, NBC really kicked off this trend when they gave us the very first TV reunion movie that I could really find, and it was from the cast of Father Knows Best, aptly titled Father Knows Best Reunion. Later that year, there was Murder at Payton Place, Halloween with the New Addams Family, and then the second Father Knows Best movie titled Home for Christmas. FYI, the links to all the movies I mentioned are in this video's description, and I have made a special playlist for all of the ones available here on YouTube, just letting you know. So anyways, back to the topic at hand. As the 70s came to a close, there was the new Maverick, the Wild Wild West revisited, and the return of the Mod Squad. Then Gilligans Island took the reunion movie game to a whole new level, with Rescue from Gilligans Island and the Castaways on Gilligans Island. And that, my friends, gets us to the 80s, where the trend of reunion movies became so common that I had to make a list of the 15 best. Or really, my 15 favorites. Real quick, before I get to those, there were some shows that had a series of reunion-style films instead of just one movie, like the Perry Mason movies and the specials from Little House on the Prairie and the Waltons. There were also things like The Trial of the Incredible Hulk and The Incredible Hulk Returns. But none of these were really reunions. They were just bonus stories to the original series narrative. So I wanted to definitely mention them, but they won't be on this list. I loved them all, but they really didn't fit, and even if they did, I couldn't choose just one. So, anyways, here we go.
An NBC World Movie premiere. Payton Place, the most sinful town in America, is torn apart when a stranger returns.
Allison?
To expose the years of lust, betrayal,
Come on, Joey.
secrets, and murder. A powerfully searing drama as the original cast returns to Payton Place, the next generation, next.
Payton Place, The Next Generation is a 1985 TV reunion movie that is a sequel to the ABC primetime soap opera Payton Place that ran from 1964 to 1969. Set in the fictional New England town 20 years after the original series, it was intended as a pilot for a potential new series that never materialized. For those of you who don't know, Payton Place was a groundbreaking primetime soap, airing 514 episodes in the late 60s that tackled taboo topics like adultery, teen pregnancy, and murder. It launched careers for actors like Mia Farrow, Ryan O'Neal, and Barbara Perkins. So, in The Next Generation, the story revolves around the return of Megan McKenzie, a young woman resembling Allison McKenzie, a key character from the original series played by Farrow, who disappeared 20 years prior. So she returns to Payton Place, and her arrival uncovers dark secrets, and it rekindles old rivalries and even leads to a murder investigation. 9 of the characters from the original series are in this movie, but that doesn't include Pharaoh, O'Neill, or Leslie Nielsen. There are, however, flashbacks to the black and white scenes from the original drama. There's also plenty of new characters in Payton Place: The Next Generation, but some do create continuity errors, like the introduction of Kelly Carson as Constance and Elliot's daughter. She replaces their son Matthew from the original series, and this contradicts earlier storylines where Kelly was the daughter of Jill Smith and Joe Rossi. This movie also ignores the continuity of the 1977 TV movie Murder in Payton Place that I mentioned earlier, but what can you do? This movie was made to test interest in a new Payton Place nighttime soap opera with 80s updates, but it totally bombed. The market was just too saturated with shows like Dallas and Dynasty and Knots Landing, Falcon Crest, etc., etc. If you are interested in watching Payton Place: The Next Generation or have a love of 1980s primetime soaps, you should definitely check it out. It is available here on YouTube, and the link is in the description.
Oh, it is enough to fill our lives with love.
Getting older got you down, carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders? Well, come home to a world premiere movie.
The Invasion of the Bradfords.
No, it's not a sci-fi flick, but an all-new family reunion.
This is the way the Bradford house should look.
Dick Van Patten, Mary Fran, and the original cast prove that 8 is enough Sunday.
Your face has held up pretty well for half a century.
8 is Enough, a family reunion, was the first reunion movie for the 1970s drama 8 is Enough. The goal was to capitalize on the show's popularity in syndication about 6 years after it went off the air, and to test to see if there was any interest in further projects. Set in Sacramento, California, several years after the original series, this movie sees the Bradford family reuniting at their family home. The Bradford siblings, except for Nicholas, have moved out and started their own lives, and they reunite to surprise their father, Tom Bradford, for his 50th birthday. That's when they discover that his job at the Sacramento Register is threatened by a corporate takeover. So the family bands together to try to save the newspaper. Pretty much everyone returned to reprise their role, including Dick Van Patten, Willie Ames, Grant Goodeve, and Adam Rich. Really the only exception here is Mary Fran as Abby Bradford. She came in to replace Betty Buckley, who was filming the movie Frantic in Europe and couldn't reprise her role. Fans enjoy the nostalgic reunion and seeing the Bradford siblings' updated lives, but some found Fran's replacement of Buckley a little jarring since they really don't look anything alike. The success of this film led to the production of a second reunion movie in 1989, An 8 is Enough Wedding, which they actually set up in this film when David and his ex-wife Janet show signs of reconciliation. Both of these movies are here on YouTube with links in this video's description.
Steve Austin, astronaut, a man barely alive. Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. Better, stronger, faster.
Sunday, Lee Majors and Lindsay Wagner are back in an all-new Bionic movie.
Looks like fun.
With more incredible powers, they take on international terrorists.
There's been a series of sabotage raids.
Joined by a son with a blinding force.
Just a microchip off the old block.
Sunday, the return of the $6 million man and the Bionic Woman.
The return of the $6 million man and the Bionic Woman was set 10 years after the original series, which means it's 1987, and the story begins in California with Steve Austin retired from the OSI, which for some reason is referred to as the Office of Scientific Information instead of the Office of Scientific Intelligence. Steve is retired and running a fishing charter boat, while Jamie Summers, who is also retired from OSI missions after the death of her boyfriend, works at a rehab center. Okay, quick side note. I swear, it's crazy how much older they look compared to the clips of the 70s $6 Million Man TV show where they originally met. It feels like it's like 30 years later, not 10. And the 80s fashion, the hair, the whole aesthetic just really feels so odd. Everything looks and sounds wrong, including the iconic sound effects and the slow motion. And the saxophone. There's just so much unnecessary 1980s saxophone. We do get some hip to be square from Huey Lewis during one scene, so that's a plus, but honestly, it's really weird, but I still love it anyways. I just had to throw that in there. So anyways, Steve and Jamie are recruited by OSI head Oscar Goldman to stop a terrorist group called Fortress, who are stealing weapons for domestic terror-filled activities. Things get more complicated when Steve's estranged son, Michael Austin, shows up, and spoiler alert, he becomes bionic after an accident. There's also this whole storyline about the rekindling of Steve and Jamie's past romance. The core cast does return for this movie. I mean, it wouldn't be the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman without Lee Majors and Lindsay Wagner. And of course, Richard Anderson also returns as Oscar. Oh, I should also point out that Bryan Cranston is in this as Dr. Shepard. It's a really brief role, but he plays one of Michael's doctors. There are some continuity notes to share about the return of the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. First, Jamie's amnesia from the original series, which was caused by her body rejecting bionics, it's quickly resolved. She regains her memories and her feelings for Steve. And since it's 10 years later, I mean, we are deep into the 80s, so Michael's bionics are advanced with 3 times as many components as Steve's, plus a microchip in his chest for coordination. Michael also has a bionic eye, which has the upgrade of a laser. Okay, this is not a perfect reunion movie by any means. Like I said earlier, critics found the writing and direction lackluster, and there are some dated special effects, especially those slow motion action sequences. The plot was seen as predictable but enjoyable for fans of the original series. However, the absence of the original opening theme music and the 1970s aesthetic was a very common complaint. The Return of the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman was the first of 3 reunion movies that they did throughout the 80s and 90s. This one served as a backdoor pilot for a potential series centered on Michael Austin, but it never happened. And just like every other movie on this list, it also intended to capitalize on the nostalgia of the original series. Oh yes, member berries have been a thing for a long time. The 2 sequels after this were the Bionic Showdown in 1989 and Bionic Ever After in 1994. The Bionic Showdown was also a backdoor pilot for a potential series centered on a character named Kate Mason. She was a new Bionic character and she was played by Sandra Bullock. But like the Michael Austin idea, this one didn't happen either. But the Bionic Showdown was Bullock's very first credited TV role. And because of that, it's available for streaming on Peacock if you're interested. And the YouTube links to Return of the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman, as well as Bionic Ever After, are in the description.
Dobby! Once a gal was dreamy, Dobby! Once a gal was creamy, Dobby! Once a gal to call his own!
Hi, remember me?
Dobby Gillis is back
Here.
with Zelda,
Zelda, cut that out.
Chatsworth,
Surely you jest, Dobby-Doo.
Thalia,
Drop dead, Dobby!
and Maynard.
You rang?
But why is the whole town out to get Dobby?
You know, I could be in real trouble. The brakes don't work.
Dwayne Hickman, Bob Denver, and Connie Stevens star in Bring Me the Head of Dobby Gillis.
Bring Me the Head of Dobby Gillis is a CBS Sunday night movie from 1988 that was a reunion for the cast of The Many Loves of Dobby Gillis, a TV series that aired from 1959 to 1963. I absolutely adore Dobby Gillis, a show that was an interesting cultural representation of the end of the innocence of the 50s before the oncoming 1960s revolution. And I must say, this 1980s TV reunion movie is not like the others. Instead of being a failed pilot for a new series, which they attempted in 1977 with the movie Whatever Happened to Dobby Gillis, this reunion movie was intended as a nostalgic, campy one-off. And the title? That's a playful nod to the 1974 film Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. So, the Dobby Gillis movie is set in Central City, USA, approximately 25 years after the original series, so that puts it in the early 80s. And this movie focuses on a grown-up Dobby, played once again by Dwayne Hickman, as a family man and a town council leader. Middle-aged Dobby Gillis is now married to Zelda and running the family grocery store, which has been expanded to include a pharmacy because Dobby is a pharmacist. The story begins with key industries shutting down in Central City, causing an economic crisis. And that's when we get the return of Thalia Menninger. She was the object of Dobby's affection in season 1 of the TV show, and an unattainable love interest. But in the 1980s, she's an uber-wealthy schemer. Instead of being played by Tuesday Weld, who refused to reprise the role, Thalia is now played by Connie Stevens in this movie. There's also a bit of meta humor with the character of Maynard G. Krebs because he's said to be recently rescued from a deserted island. Maynard G. Krebs was played by Bob Denver in the OG series before he was Gilligan on Gilligans Island. Denver also reprises the Maynard role in the TV movie. Are you confused yet? I hope not. So back to the story, chaos ensues when Thalia offers a bounty to kill Dobby after he rejects her marriage proposal. The plot parodies The Visit by Frederick Durmont, going pretty dark while exploring themes of greed and loyalty with a comedic twist. I know, they were really swinging for the fences with this script. There is so much to talk about when it comes to Bring Me the Head of Dobby Gillis. There's a young Scott Grimes playing Dobby and Zelda's son, Georgie. There's the notable absence of Warren Beatty, who played Milton Armitage in season 1. There's also the mirrored storyline between Dobby's quest for love in the original series with Thalia while being chased by Zelda, and Georgie's pursuit of a girl named Bonnie Bascom while being chased by Chatworth Osborne Jr.'s daughter, Chatsy. If you're not familiar with the many loves of Dobby Gillis with all of its quirks, the dream sequences, the thinker poses, and the fourth wall breaks, then this TV reunion movie will seem very odd. But if you are a fan of the original show, then Bring Me the Head of Dobby Gillis is definitely worth the watch. And I put the link in the description.
On the CBS Tuesday night movies, Thresh's evil genius is at large again, holding the world for ransom. Only one man can stop him, Napoleon Solo.
I need Ilya Kuryak.
Those men from U.N.C.L.E. are back, out of retirement and into the action. Robert Vaughn and David McCallum, the return of the man from U.N.C.L.E.
This all seemed a lot easier 15 years ago.
The Return of the Man from U.N.C.L.E., the 15 Years Later Affair, is an 80s TV reunion movie intended as a nostalgic revival of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and a potential pilot for a new series. But no series followed. Set in 1983, 15 years after the original series ended, the story takes place primarily in Las Vegas, New York City, and other global locations to reflect the Cold War's lingering tensions and the era's détente. The premise of the movie is that the criminal organization Thrush steals a nuclear bomb and demands $350 million within 72 hours to be delivered by former U.N.C.L.E. agent Napoleon Solo. Solo is now a computer company owner, and Ilya Kuryak is a fashion designer, but they are recalled from retirement by U.N.C.L.'s new head, Sir John Raleigh, to stop Thrush's plan to detonate the bomb and disrupt global peace. This reunion movie respects the original's continuity, unlike some reunion films that ignore major characters, and critics and fans praise the nostalgic return of Robert Vaughn and David McCallum. Some viewers did find the script to be a bit dated or corny or lacking in the original series wit, but don't let that keep you from checking out The Return of the Man from U.N.C.L.E., the 15 Years Later Affair. I put the link to that movie in the description below.
From Television City in Hollywood, Carol Burnett, Harvey Korman, Vicki Lawrence, in Ununice.
Before Mama's Family became a quirky 80s sitcom staple, there was Ununice, a surprisingly heavy, character-driven TV movie from CBS in 1982, starring Carol Burnett as a woman unraveling under the weight of family disappointment. This wasn't just a reunion of cast members from the Carol Burnett show, it was a full-on emotional reckoning that gave depth to a character audiences had mostly seen played for laughs. Ununice essentially served as a bridge between the classic comedy sketch series The Carol Burnett Show and the spin-off sitcom Mama's Family. It focused on Eunice Harper Higgins, the emotional, volatile Southern woman played by Burnett, a character that originated in the recurring family sketches on her show. Unlike the broadly comedic tone of Mama's Family, Ununice is a dramedy, part drama, part comedy, and is notable for its more serious and emotional exploration of Eunice's life, disappointments, and fractured relationships over a 23-year time span. This film is broken into 4 distinct acts, each taking place during a pivotal year in Ununice's life. First up is 1955, when Ununice is a young woman dreaming of stardom and waiting for her date, while her older brother Philip, played by Ken Berry, announces he's leaving to become a writer. Then it jumps ahead to 1963, when Eunice's marriage to Ed Higgins, played by Harvey Korman, is falling apart and she's struggling to keep her life together. Then it flashes ahead again 10 years to 1973. Now Eunice is divorced, trying to keep up appearances and resentful that her brother has found success. Finally, the movie ends in 1978 when their mother, Thelma Harper, played by Vicki Lawrence, dies, forcing Eunice and Philip to confront years of emotional baggage. Each act captures Eunice's increasingly desperation, lack of fulfillment, and toxic family dynamic, particularly her rocky relationship with her mother and her long-held jealousy of her brother's success. Oh, I cannot forget that Betty White does reprise her Carol Burnett show role as Ellen, Eunice's snobby sister. I could not mention that. Anyways, Eunice is much darker and more dramatic than audiences might expect, especially those familiar only with the wacky sitcom Mama's Family. Burnett gives one of her most serious performances here, playing a woman consumed by unrealized dreams and family dysfunction. The film was critically well received and is often praised for its emotional depth and sharp writing. Importantly, Eunice is seen as the transition piece that led to Mama's Family, which debuted the following year in 1983. Even though Mama dies in the Eunice movie, though the tone of the sitcom was much lighter and leaned into slapstick comedy, deviating from the emotional complexity of this movie. If you are a fan of the Carol Burnett show and Mama's Family, and you haven't seen Eunice, you should definitely check it out. Link is in the description.
Beware America! Maxwell Smart and 99 are back in town.
Chaos is back in business.
Is that still classified information?
What? Sorry about that.
Be careful.
Don Adams and Barbara Feldon bring a TV classic back with an all-new adventure.
Would you believe?
Get Smart again Sunday.
Long before Steve Carell tried on the shoe phone, Don Adams came back for one more mission in 1989's Get Smart Again. This made-for-TV reunion flick didn't just bring back the original cast, it brought back the charm, the chaos, and that glorious deadpan delivery. It wasn't a reinvention, it was a reminder that Maxwell Smart still had what it takes. Kind of. Get Smart Again reunited audiences with the bumbling secret agent nearly 20 years after the original Get Smart series ended. Airing on ABC, this movie revived the classic spy spoof in all of its gadget-filled, pun-heavy glory, and served as a nostalgic callback to the Cold War-era comedy that first aired in the 1960s. In classic Get Smart fashion, the plot is delightfully absurd. Maxwell Smart, now retired from Control, is pulled back into action after the agency is reinstated by the government. Their mission? Stop a chaos plot involving a weather control machine that could devastate the world, or at least ruin someone's picnic. To save the day, Max teams up with his old partner and wife, Agent 99, played by Barbara Feldon, and reunites with several other Control allies from the original series. The film plays out like a greatest hits album, with Max fumbling through spy missions, misusing gadgets, and delivering the classic line, "Would you believe?" This reunion movie wisely brought back the original cast wherever possible, helping it feel like a genuine continuation instead of a reimagining. Unlike some reunion movies that veered into drama, Get Smart Again is pure slapstick nostalgia. It doesn't try to modernize the franchise or dig too deep. It just leans into what made the original series great: goofy gadgets, tongue-in-cheek spy action, and Don Adams' one-of-a-kind comic timing. The movie was well received by longtime fans and served as sort of a re-entry point for the franchise. In fact, its popularity helped pave the way for the 1995 reboot series, also titled Get Smart, where Max was the chief and Agent 99 was a congresswoman. But that show only lasted one season. If you would like to watch Get Smart Again, you can find it with my YouTube link that I put in the description below.
Wait till you see my Gidget. You want her for your Valentine.
A reunion?
A reunion birthday party for Jeff.
A reunion? But Gidget, everybody's grown up. I mean, you've got your own business to worry about. Your husband Moondoggy's trying to stay on his boss's good side. And who knows where the great kahuna could be. Not to mention your niece Kim, who loves all kinds of water sports. And what about the punts at the beach? Well, who cares when you're having so much fun? Gidget's Summer Reunion. Serves up tonight at 8.
Gidget's Summer Reunion aired on NBC in 1985 and was a made-for-TV movie that caught up with the iconic surf girl of the 1960s, now all grown up and navigating marriage, career, and the not-so-endless summer of adulthood. Gidget is now Karen Richmond, taking over the role originally played by Sandra Dee on the big screen and Sally Field on TV. She's married to her longtime flame, Jeff Moondoggy Griffin, now played by Little House on the Prairie star Dean Butler. Gidget works as a travel agent and Moondoggy is an architect. The couple finds their marriage hitting a rough patch just as they take in their teenage niece for the summer. Old flames, work pressures, and a longing for the carefree beach days of their youth test their relationship in ways they didn't expect. There's still surfing and sunshine, but the tone is more family drama with a dash of midlife crisis than carefree beach party. Unlike the teeny-bopper tone of the original Gidget outings, Gidget's Summer Reunion leans into nostalgic melodrama. It tries to balance beachy fun with grown-up themes like marital dissatisfaction, career compromise, and the passage of time. There's still surfing, yes, but this Gidget drinks wine and worries about real estate deals. The film's reception was warm enough to launch the syndicated series The New Gidget in 1986, with Richmond and Butler continuing in their roles. That series lasted 2 seasons and leaned more into sitcom territory than the earnest tone of the movie. It's part rom-com, part midlife crisis, and all 80s beach nostalgia with a grown-up twist. Now, before I wrap this up, I know you all are probably thinking that I cheated a little bit with this one because there are no original actors from the 1965 sitcom who are reuniting in this movie. The thing is, Gidget is a unique character who had a series of books, 3 films, 3 made-for-TV movies, and 2 TV shows, and she was never played by the same actress twice. But I included it because I absolutely loved this movie from 1985 and the TV show that followed, and because it was more of a reunion of these popular characters and the stories created by author Frederick Kohner. From Gidget to Moondoggy and everyone in between, I absolutely love the world of the little girl with the big ideas.
First, the Munsters are back.
I'll drink to that.
Those great original characters, but the nuttiness is all new with Sid Caesar, The Munsters' Revenge, a world premiere.
The Munsters' Revenge aired on NBC in 1981 and reunited Fred Gwynne, Yvonne DiCarlo, and Al Lewis, Herman Munster, Lily Munster, and Grandpa, for a wacky caper filled with mad scientists, robot duplicates, and mistaken identity. The plot finds Herman and Grandpa being framed for a crime spree committed by robotic doppelgangers created by a deranged wax museum curator. The duo must clear their names while navigating the human world that still doesn't quite understand them. The humor is in the same spooky, silly style as the original series, complete with groan-worthy puns, slapstick, and batty one-liners. While it brought back key cast members, The Munsters' Revenge felt a little out of sync with the times. Audiences loved the nostalgia, but the script and production values felt stuck in the 60s, not quite modernized for the 80s audience. Gwynne and Lewis slipped right back into their roles like they never left, as did DiCarlo, completing the original trio of classic monster parents. But Marilyn, the Munsters' normal niece, was recast with Joe McDonald, and Eddie was played by Casey Martell, best known to Gen Xers as Eddie from Growing Pains and Greg in E.T. Stylistically, the film aims for goofy, family-friendly horror with a dash of Saturday matinee energy. It's shot in color, unlike the original series being in black and white, which really throws it off for me, but it retains the punny humor, the slapstick pacing, and the affectionate weirdness that made the Munsters so beloved. Gwynne, Lewis, and DiCarlo bring authentic chemistry and charm, even if the script leans heavily on cliches and sci-fi silliness. Fred Gwynne reportedly regretted returning to the role, and this would be the last time he donned the Frankenstein makeup. For fans, though, it's a fun, if flawed, farewell to a cult favorite. While The Munsters' Revenge didn't launch a new series as hoped, it remains a notable entry in the Munsters timeline. It was the final time that Fred Gwynne, Al Lewis, and Yvonne DiCarlo appeared together as the original trio. For fans of classic TV and retro monster kitsch, it's a rare treat and a last hurrah before future reboots recast the entire family.
And listen to my story about a man named Jed, a poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed.
Been a while since you've seen the Clampetts.
Well, doggy!
Cousin Jethro's a big movie producer now. Granny's gone, but her moonshine's still kicking. And Miss Jane's found herself a fella.
Is it over?
No, say I will.
I will what?
He will. Buddy Epson and Imogene Coca in The Return of the Beverly Hillbillies.
The Return of the Beverly Hillbillies aired on CBS in 1981 and picked up more than a decade after the Clampetts last graced prime time. In this new story, Jed Clampett is living a quieter life back home in the country, but he's pulled back into the public eye when a government official needs help solving the energy crisis, with Granny's moonshine recipe of all things. The reunion only brought back 3 original cast members: Buddy Epson, who played Jed, Donna Douglas, who played Ellie Mae, and Nancy Culp, who played Miss Jane Hathaway. With Granny actress Irene Ryan having passed away, and Max Baird Jr., who originally played Jethro, refusing to return, both characters were either written around or recast. Jethro is now a Hollywood mogul, and Granny is said to be gone, but her number 5 elixir is still central to the plot. The tone of The Return of the Beverly Hillbillies is a mix of broad comedy and mild political satire, reflecting early 80s anxieties about oil shortages and energy independence. Watching the Clampetts navigate Washington, D.C. instead of Beverly Hills gave the story a fish-out-of-water twist that didn't quite land. The TV movie was intended, again, to revive the franchise, but poor reviews and a lukewarm audience response stalled any plans for a series. Still, for die-hard fans, it was a brief chance to see Epson's Jed one last time, fiddle in hand. This movie can be summed up as the energy crisis meets hillbilly hijinks. It's goofy, it's dated, and it's somehow made Granny's moonshine a national security issue, but I say it's definitely a must-watch if you were a fan of the original Beverly Hillbillies TV series.
It's magical laughs for everyone when Barbara Eden returns as Genie.
We are celebrating.
And when this girl parties, it's all you can bear. She loves being a normal 2,000-year-old housewife.
Wouldn't you just gag?
Until her scheming sister tries to make her a real swinger.
I'm going to straighten out your hook.
Can Genie survive as a liberated lady? And when she cuts loose, is hubby Wayne Rogers gonna flip?
It's mass hysteria.
You'll be rolling in the aisles for I Dream of Genie 15 years later.
I Dream of Genie 15 years later aired on NBC in 1985 and brought back Barbara Eden in her signature role as the magical genie who lives in a bottle. The twist? Genie is now married with a teenage son, trying to live a normal suburban life, but of course, magic has a way of sneaking back in. Larry Hagman, who played Major Nelson in the original series, did not return due to his commitment to Dallas as J.R. Ewing, so the role was recast with Wayne Rogers, aka Trapper John from MASH. In this story, Genie must prevent her son from misusing his powers, all while battling a scheming new villain named Haji who threatens to banish her for violating the Genie Code. Bill Daly does return as Roger Healy, and we get Mackenzie Aston in the role of Genie and Tony's son, TJ Nelson. The tone of the movie blends whimsical nostalgia with light domestic comedy, but fans were divided over the absence of Hagman. Barbara Eden's charm is still intact, and Daly's return is a highlight, but Rogers never quite fit the role, through no fault of his own. Still, the movie did well enough to inspire a follow-up TV movie, I Still Dream of Genie, in 1991, where Genie once again tried to navigate life without her master, but with diminishing returns. With a blink and a nod to the past, I Dream of Genie 15 years later reminds us that suburban life is no match for ancient genie drama, even if your husband suddenly looks completely different.
Tonight on the CBS Saturday Night Movies, Jerry Mathers is back.
When did life get so tough? I think it all started when the Yankees traded Roger Maris.
20 years later, one of America's favorite families is reunited when the Beaver returns to Mayfield. And while cute children grow up to have kids of their own,
Don't you think we're a little old for reverse psychology?
still nothing goes right for the Beaver, and some things never change.
I'm still the Beaver.
The hilarious world premiere movie, Still the Beaver, next.
Still the Beaver aired on CBS in 1983 as a made-for-TV movie reunion of the beloved 1950s sitcom Leave It to Beaver. But this wasn't just a trip down memory lane. It was a surprisingly poignant update that saw Theodore Beaver Cleaver grappling with adult problems like divorce, job loss, and single fatherhood. He's forced to move back in with his mother, June, while trying to raise his two sons in the same house where he once got grounded for climbing trees. And wow, is Beaver a major man-child? The lack of maturity is kind of hard to watch at times. At least that's my opinion. But anyways, the movie follows Beaver reconnecting with his brother Wally, his old nemesis Eddie Haskell, and other familiar faces from Mayfield, while dealing with modern struggles and the pressure of living up to a golden era childhood. The cast features a lot of familiar faces. Of course, there's Jerry Mathers as Beaver Cleaver, Barbara Billingsley as June, Tony Dow as Wally, Ken Osmond as Eddie Haskell, and Frank Bank as Lumpy Rutherford. The show also acknowledged Hugh Beaumont as Ward Cleaver, who passed away around the same time the movie was made. The show killed off Ward, but kept him in the storyline with family photos in the opening and in the Cleaver house. While it carries the warm, familiar tone of the original series, Still the Beaver leans into themes of disappointment, second chances, and intergenerational support. This wasn't a parody or a satire, it was a sincere attempt to age the characters realistically, showing that even America's most wholesome kid could hit hard times. And speaking of generational shifts, the casting of Corey Feldman as Beaver's oldest son, Corey Cleaver, adds a major Gen X twist. Before The Goonies or Stand By Me made him a teen star, Feldman was already stepping into the nostalgic spotlight, acting as a bridge between the boomers who grew up on Leave It to Beaver and the kids of the 80s who are now watching alongside them. The movie resonated with audiences and led directly to the spin-off series The New Leave It to Beaver, which ran from 1984 to 1989. That show expanded the Cleaver family tree and became one of the most successful legacy sequels of its time. With Beaver struggling, Wally dadding hard, and Corey Feldman already rocking that Gen X energy, Still the Beaver wasn't just a reunion, it was a generational handoff. And it proved that even the most squeaky clean kid can grow up, fall down, and still land on his feet in Mayfield.
Next, the original Brady Bunch cast is back for the wedding of the year.
Both of us getting married at the same time. I think I better sit down.
You are sitting down.
It's double romance as the Brady girls get married.
The Brady Girls Get Married premiered as a two-part TV movie on NBC in 1981 and reunited the whole Brady clan for a wedding-themed comedy full of polyester, punchlines, and post-Saturday morning cheese. The plot centers on Marcia and Jan, who both get engaged at the same time and decide to plan a double wedding. But things quickly spiral into chaos as their husbands-to-be clash with the Brady's quirky family dynamic. The movie includes all of the original siblings who are now adults with jobs, relationships, and home decor straight out of the JCPenney catalog. When I say the whole cast is back, I really mean it. There were no fake Marcias, no fake Jans, and no fake Cindys. Maureen McCormick returned as Marcia, Eve Plum as Jan, and Susan Olsen as Cindy. On the boys' side, Barry Williams returned as Greg, Christopher Knight as Peter, and Mike Lookinland as Bobby. Florence Henderson and Robert Reed returned as Carol and Mike Brady, as did Ann B. Davis as Alice. This movie was classic Brady. Light, wholesome, and full of goofy misunderstandings and heartwarming lessons. The tone leaned more sitcom than film, but it gave fans a satisfying update on the Brady kids' lives and relationships. It was also a backdoor pilot for the short-lived primetime sitcom The Brady Brides, which followed Jan and Marcia living together after the wedding. That show only lasted 10 episodes, but the reunion trend was officially back in style thanks to this feel-good flick. In the Brady girls get married, the house may be updated and the clothes may be more 80s, but the Brady charm is definitely still there. I absolutely adore this movie, and I definitely recommend it to any Brady fan who hasn't seen it. The link is in the description. Oh, and before I move on, I have to mention that the Bradys would return in 1988 for the TV movie A Very Brady Christmas. It was so successful that CBS and Sherwood Schwartz created a new series in 1990 titled The Bradys to continue the story of Mike, Carol, and their now adult children. But it was nothing like the original sitcom. The Bradys was more of an adult-oriented drama with a more serious tone, and it did not work. The show lasted just 6 episodes.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship.
Harper Valley will not be seen tonight, so that we may bring you the following special movie presentation.
Gilligan!
That castaway clown and his crew return in an all-new world premiere movie.
Ready when you are.
With special guest stars, the Harlem Globetrotters.
Who are the Harlem Globetrotters?
And Scatman Crothers.
We're going to show them some jazz, pizzazz, and razzmatazz.
Basketball's crazies team up with the Castaway Zanies.
Gilligan!
And now, the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligans Island.
Yes, it really happened. The Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligans Island aired on NBC in 1981, and it was the third and final Gilligan reunion movie. A true oddity that combines slapstick comedy, science fiction, and professional basketball. This one is an absolute acid trip. I watched it the other day over on my Discord server with my channel members, and we had a blast. If you would like to join this channel as a member or be part of my Discord community, there are links down below. So let's get back to the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island. The plot picks up with the castaways now running a resort on their infamous island. In case you missed the previous reunion movies in the 70s, the castaways were rescued, but then they decided to go back to the island, which they now own, and open a resort. Don't try to overthink it. This movie does not deserve that level of scrutiny. Enter the Harlem Globetrotters, whose plane crashes nearby. Things get weirder when a villainous corporate tycoon tries to take over the island to harvest a rare mineral, and the only way to stop him? A basketball showdown between the Globetrotters and his team of evil robots. Yes, robots. Bob Denver reprises his role of Gilligan. Alan Hale Jr. is back as the skipper. Natalie Shaver is there as Lovely Howell, and Jim Backus does make a cameo as Thurston Howell III, but due to his Parkinson's disease, the appearance was brief and at the end of the movie. This was his last appearance as Mr. Howell. Filling in for him in the plot is son Thurston Howell IV, played by actor and TV host David Ruprecht. There's also Russell Johnson as the professor and Dawn Wells as Mary Ann, but there's no Tina Louise as Ginger. That role was taken over by Constance Forsland. Scatman Crothers plays the Globetrotters coach, and the Globetrotters do appear as themselves, including Curly Neal and Sweet Lou Dunbar. And I cannot forget, Martin Landau plays villain J.J. Pearson, and my lord, his appearance in this movie truly makes you wonder what kind of debt Landau had to be in at the time in order to agree to this role. This movie is pure camp, unapologetically absurd, often unintentionally hilarious, and totally committed to its concept. By 1981, Gilligan's Island was a cult favorite, and this movie leaned into its kitsch reputation with basketball-playing androids and cartoon-level villainy. While it didn't lead to another series or anything, it became a midnight movie favorite for fans who love their nostalgia with a side of WTF. The Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island is just absolutely insane and also kind of awesome. As always, link in the description.
And he's back.
Shazam!
Opie's back, and Barney too.
10-4.
With Gomer and Goober and Thelma Lou.
Old Fritz.
It's so good to see you.
They're all back for all new lads
I want to thank you all for coming.
in America's favorite hometown.
How come we ain't laid eyes on you lately, Chair?
I've been out of town 20 years.
And they'll shoot the works when you return to Mayberry.
Life in the fast lane.
And now join the celebration in a world premiere Sunday night movie.
Outstanding.
Return to Mayberry aired on NBC in 1986 and brought back nearly the entire original cast of The Andy Griffith Show, more than 18 years after the show ended. It's arguably one of the most reverent and successful reunion movies of the era, which is why I made it number 1 on my list. In this story, Andy Taylor returns to Mayberry for a visit and finds his hometown gearing up for a mayoral election between his old deputy, Barney Fife, and a slick outsider. After some soul-searching and small-town drama, Andy himself is persuaded to run and restore Mayberry's homespun values. It's a gentle, nostalgic look at how time changes a town and the people who call it home. The returning cast includes Andy Griffith as Andy Taylor, Don Knotts as Barney Fife, Ron Howard as Opie Taylor. There's also Jim Nabors as Gomer Pyle, George Lindsay as Goober Pyle, Anita Corsott as Helen Crump, Howard Morris as Ernest T. Bass, Betty Lynn as Thelma Lou, Jack Dodson as Howard Sprague, and Hal Smith as Otis Campbell. Yes, they were all in this movie. The only one missing is Frances Bouvier as Aunt Bee. She passed away in 1985, and she is mentioned in memoriam. Return to Mayberry is filled with gentle humor, slow pacing, and heartfelt moments. It doesn't go for big laughs or outrageous twists. It just lets fans soak in the warmth of a world they grew up with. The tone is more reflective than comedic, with quiet scenes that honor the show's themes of community, simplicity, and moral clarity. The film was a massive hit, the most watched TV movie of 1986, and a model for how to do a reunion with class. It gave Mayberry one last moment in the sun, and it felt exactly right. In Return to Mayberry, time stands still, just long enough for one more fishing trip, one more whistle down Main Street, and one more reason to believe that small towns and good hearts never really go out of style. If you'd like to watch it, the link is in the description. And that's my list of favorite 1980s TV reunion movies. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did I leave out one of your favorites? Did I remind you of a movie or a TV show you hadn't thought of in years? I'd love to hear your classic TV stories. And thank you so much to my channel members for your support. It means the world to me. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when I post a new video and when I go live on Friday nights for some Gen X member berries. We have a lot of fun. Watch old clips, play trivia games, and reminisce about life in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I would love to have you join me. Okay, bye!